And Kathy McDonald, the parade marshal and outrider. Number 1, Hill to Highlight. Owned by Highlight Stable, Ron Ridenauer, Brian Brown, and Robert Runzer, driven by David Miller. 2, I'm Scarlet, owned by Herb Thompson, Vincent Moore with Bob Harper. 3, Legacy's Chair, owned by Marianne Georges, and the reinsman is Mike Wilder. Number 4, Gleam in Her Eye, owned by Michael and Josephine Campbell. Joe Adamski will be aboard. Number 5, Lifelike Has Been Scratched. 6, Abe's Delight, owned by the ACA Stable and Mark Winters. 7, After the Cowboy, owned by Robert Boggs and Ron Steck. 8, Too Fast, Too Soon, owned by Cassandra McCune and Eddie George. Dave Hawk will be in the sulky. Field for tonight's first race, the happy 34th birthday Chad McCullough pace. Underway. Field is now in motion. And there they go. They're off and pacing. The 1, Hill to Highlight, is off stride at the start. A little bit rough in there is the 2, I'm Scarlet. For the lead on the far outside, Abe's Delight. Quickly moving out from between horses, Gleam in Her Eye second, Legacy's Terror third. Late Lever, Too Fast, Too Soon, driving up on the outside. She's now made a speed break. As they move to the opening quarter-mile pole, I'm Scarlet quickly settles back into stride. After that comes After the Cowboy, and the 1's got a lot of work to do, Hill to Highlight, steamrolling by the quarter in 28-3. Moving past the stands to the half-mile pole, Joe Adamski's got Gleam in Her Eye out on top by 2 lengths. Abe's Delight is in the second. Past the stands, Legacy's Terror third. I'm Scarlet fourth. Too Fast, Too Soon. Still a little bit rough back there for the Hawkman. After the Cowboy, yet to head to the rodeo, and the trailer is still Hill to Highlight as they make their way through the paddock turn, reaching the half-mile pole. Well off the rail, Gleam in Her Eye continues to lead 58-2 up the backstretch. Gleam in Her Eye trying to make every pole winning one, continues to lead the way. The 8 is just about fallen down now as they leave the 5/8 and head to 3/4. Up top by an easy 2, Gleam in Her Eye. Abe's Delight, the stalking Journey in second. Legacy's Terror third. I'm Scarlet in fourth. Up on the outside After the Cowboy fifth. Hill to Highlight back down pacing Too Fast, Too Soon. Racing by 3/4. Gleam in Her Eye continues to lead in 1:29-4. Around the far turn, Gleam in Her Eye on top by an easy length in 3/4. Here comes Legacy's Terror looking for the passing lane. Dropping back slightly, Abe's Delight third off the turn. In the stretch, and they're on their way home. With a rush on the outside, Legacy's Terror comes on to get the lead. Legacy's Terror is bidding this field an early good night at 30-1. Legacy's Terror, Gleam in Her Eye, and I'm Scarlet third. Result of the first race now official. 3-4 exacted 250.80. The try 894.40. The dollar box 447.20. Result is now official. Post time 13 minutes away at 7:53. Second race kicks off the Ohio Sire Stakes action. First of 3 divisions in a field of 9. No changes in tonight's second race. After race number 3. Here comes the field for tonight's second race. Ohio Sire Stakes action. 2-year-old trotting colts, first division for $14,880. Number 1 is Reuben Mania, owned by Thomas Stable, driven by David Miller. 2, Swift Courier, owned by Towering Oaks Farm with Scott Cox. 3 is Speedway Overpass, owned by Dean Davis and Scott Davis, Jeff Fout, the reinsman. 4, BC Brutus, owned by driver Ron Steck in the Thistle Stable and Robert Smolko. 5 is Macachee, owned by Marilyn Sickanesi. Tony Price will be in the bike. 6, Dumiano, owned by Tony and Norma Raber with Joe Adamski. 7 is Basso, owned by Laura Baker, Doug Gregory, Jim Arledge, and Jim Morrow with Del S. Miller. 8 is Ashwood Alex, owned by the Ashwood Farm and Marty Willem. 9, Carry the Speed, owned by Dave McLean. Jim Daly will be in the sulky. Field for tonight's second race, first of 3 Ohio Sire. And there they go. They're off and trotting. Basso is off stride on the far outside. McAchee takes the lead. Speedway overpasses next. Middle of the racetrack. Dumeno is on the move to third. Swift Courier between horses fourth. Ruben Mania fifth along the rail. Off stride, Ashwood Alex on the outside. Up the rail, Carry the Speed. BC Brutus and the trailers are still off stride. Ashwood Alex on the outside and Basso along the rail. They're on their way to the quarter-mile pole. Trotting up on the outside, Dumiano and McAchee heads apart 30 2/5. In parade, racing past the stands, Dumeno now has the lead by 2. McAchee, the favorite, is now settled in second past the stand. Speedway over past third. Ruben Mania is fourth. Swift Courier is fifth with a rush on the outside. Basso, Carry the Speed. Very rough at the end. BC Brutus, the trailer is out of it. Ashwood Alex around the clubhouse, turn to the half-mile pole. Dumeno trying to make every pole winning one, leads the way. Ruben Mania is up on the outside. McAchee setting along the rail in third. Trotting up on the outside, Swift Courier fourth. Basso 3 wide to fifth. Nowhere to go, Speedway overpass. The next in line comes Carry the Speed. BC Brutus and Ashwood Alex in 102 and 1. Pretty well grouped amongst the top 7 as they trot to 3/4. Ruben Mania by a nose. Right alongside in second, Dumeno. Ranging up on the far outside, Swift Courier now gets the lead. Swift Courier by a nose. In between horses, Ruben Mania and Dumeno. This one is wide open. Trotting by 3/4 in 133 and 3. 3 two-year-old trotters are still banging heads for the lead. Nearest the rail, Dumeno by a nose. Fighting back between horses, Ruben Mania. Up on the outside, Swift Courier. Basso on the far outside, looking for the passing lane. Tony Price and McAchee. A length separates 5 two-year-olds. 70 yards to go. Dumeno and McAchee. Dumeno, McAchee noses apart. Circle. They will present the Ohio Sire Stakes Trophy to Joe Adamski and Dumeno. Dumeno is a 2-year-old bay gelding by Speed and Action out of Castleton Home. Owned by Tony and Norma Raber of Strasburg. Trained by Tony Raber. Driven tonight virtually wire-to-wire by Joe Adamski. Covering that mile here in 2:04 and 3. Lifetime best for number 6, Dumeno, the winner of tonight's first division of the Sire Stakes. Had an all payoff in the daily double. Never have seen that before. An all payoff in the double. All 6. $14. All 6. $14 in the daily double. And that price is okay. We also have a 3 all. We have a 3 all in the double. That'll be up just a second. All 6 and 3 all. The all 6 is $14. The 3 all is $43.20. 6.5 exacta, 40, make that $74.60. Trifecta $539.60. The try $539.60. Windows are now up and on tonight's third race. Superfecta Wagering Trophy presented by Bachelor Bob Strozeski and Group. Superfecta Scratch 5 Beeler Hanover Lane. Scratch 5 Beeler Hanover Lane. Post time in 12 minutes. Here comes the field for tonight's third race as they pray to the post. Scratch 5 Beeler Hanover Lane. We're on 6 minutes. One clapstick owned by Ellis Lakes. John Collins drives. Number 2, Lenda Penny, owned by Mark Deaton. Raymond and Robert Straw with Elliott Deaton. 3, Austin K, owned by Charlie Conrad and Jermaine Benton. Reinsman is Roy Wilson. Number 4, AP King, owned by Arthur Epking. Dave Hawk will be aboard. 5, Beeler Hanover Scratch Lane. 6, Pack-a-Punch, owned by Edwin Cook, driven by Richard Cook. 7 is Pudman, owned by John Oldfield with Jeff Fout. 8, Barron's Carrier, owned by Sarah Rader and Scott Mogan. 9, Swango, leased by Albert Van Schaik. Jody Essig is in the sulky. Field for the third. Scratch the 5. Field is now in motion. And there they go. They're off and pacing. Clapstick takes the lead. Pack-a-Punch rolls to command between horses. Lend a Penny toward the rail. Middle of the racetrack, AP King up on the far outside. Pudman getting 3 wide and tortured. Next in line, Austin K. Barron's Carrier and Swango's got to like this even though he's last as they circle to the quarter-mile pole. From the outside, Clapstick up to challenge Pack-a-Punch. A gap of 2 lengths to Lend a Penny. They're flying. 27-2. Racing past the stands to the half-mile pole. Clapstick on the outside, brushes to the front. Clapstick for John Collins leads by 2. Pack-a-Punch is in the second, Lend a Penny third, and that makes sense. Around the clubhouse turn, AP King fourth. Ranging up on the outside, Pudman underway from the back. Austin K. Swango tips and rolls. Barron's Carrier is 8th and last. They're flying past the half-mile pole. Clapstick jiggy-jogging in 56 and look for the closers now. They're out of the turn and down the backstretch. Clapstick sets the murderous fractions first to flush. Coming with a rush, here's Lend a Penny up on the outside. Pudman is back on the attack nearest the rail. Pack-a-Punch got shuffled back to 4th. Moving up on the outside, Austin K. Swango gobbling up ground. Followed by AP King along the rail and Barron's Carrier. Racing to 3/4, taking over command. Lend a Penny by 2. Here's Pudman up on the outside. Swango on the far outside and a fast 126-2. Around the far turn. Lend a Penny continues to lead the way. Swango is absolutely flying on the far outside along the rail. Pudman there into the stretch. Swango says, "Good night, boys." Swango on the far outside now gets the lead. Pudman trying to close back on the rail. Swango, Pudman, Swango's going to get there. Pudman second tight between Lend a Penny and Barron's Carrier. Result of the third race is now official. 9-7 exacta, $14.60, $14.60. The Super 770-40. Windows are now up and on race 4, Ohio Sire Stakes, second division. No changes in the 4th. 5th race, scratch 6, Starwell Lame. 5th race, scratch number 6, Starwell Lame. Folks, also please note in this race that number 7 BMW Bluegrass raced on July the 20th at Thunder Ridge. Number 9 BMW Bluegrass raced at Thunder Ridge on July the 20th in a $2,000 claimer. Had post 7, went wire to wire in 2:01. Number 9 BMW Bluegrass in race number 5 raced on July the 20th at Thunder Ridge. Had post 7, went wire to wire in 2:01. Bachelor Bob in the winner's circle to meet and greet Jody Essig and Swango. 3-year-old bay gelding by Nuclear Siren out of Emmy Beautiful. Leased in Lebanon by Albert Van Schaik. Trained by Jim Arledge. Hard driven by Jody Essig. Covering the mile in 1:57. Number 9, Swango, the winner. Post time in 13 minutes at 8:30. Here comes the field for tonight's 4th race. First of 2 Arnold Schwarzenegger horses. The first one is Terminator P, owned by Policino Motors with Marty Willem. 2 is Eraser, owned by Tom Crouch and Jeff Fout. Jeff Fout drives. 3 is Our Message, owned by Tom Oyer, and David Miller will be the reinsman. Number 4, Attack First, owned by Wilbur Lang with David Myers aboard. 5, Cinder Lane Fred, owned by Richard McNutt and driver Bill Mount Pleasant. 6, Brett's Comer, owned by Miller Brothers Stable and Kevin Greenfield with Jay Cross. 7, Spirit of a Macho, owned by Arsena Farm with Don McCurgan. Number 8, Concord Jet, owned by Frank Stewart and Tom Carafiol. Ron Steck will be in the sulky. Trotters for the 4th Ohio Sire Stakes, 5 minutes till post time. Field for the 4th, in behind starter John Betts. Field is now in motion. And there they go. They're off and trotting. Attack First quickly takes the lead. Cinder Lane Fred, middle of the racetrack. Eraser along the rail, 3rd. The 6 is on a break. Brett's Comer. They're down the backstretch. Quickly trotting clear and now making a speed break in the first turn. Attack First, and Eraser has grabbed the lead. Eraser on top between horses. Cinder Lane Fred second. Here comes Our Message trotting smartly along the rail third. Concord Jet on runway 4 is up on the outside toward the rail. Terminator P as they move by the opening quarter in 30 seconds flat. Spirit of a Macho is up on the outside. Brett's Comer far back, attack first. Eraser has got the lead by an easy length and a half. The Big Mile Cinder Lane Fred up on the outside, followed by Our Message gaining back along the pylons in third. Concord Jet still on the outside fourth as they make their way through the paddock turn, head of the half-mile pole. Terminator P is fifth. Gap of 2, Spirit of a Macho up on the outside. Brett's Comer off stride. Attacked first, the half and even minute flat. They're out of the turn and down the backstretch. 4 on a nickel. Favorite continues to lead the way. Eraser's getting the number 2 journey. Bouncing right along it, Eraser 4 deep on the far outside. Brett's Comer with a rush. Cinder Lane Fred gives way. Ranging up on the far outside, Concord Jet. Our Message has some work to do on the far outside. Terminator P now winding up on the far outside. Spirit of a Macho and the trailers attack first. Racing by 3/4 in 1:31 and 2. Around the far turn, Eraser has been joined on the outside by Brett's Comer. Terminator P is up on the far outside. Jeff out under confident handling. Cuts the corner with Eraser on top. Brett's Comer right alongside in second. Here comes Terminator P down the middle of the racetrack. It's Eraser. Terminator P on the far outside. Brett's Comer still attacking between horses, but it's Terminator P who gets the lead. Comes back Terminator P, who says, I will be back, is Karen Coleman, Lee Wharton, and John Walzer. Here comes the unofficial winner, number 1, Terminator P, a 2-year-old bay Ridgeling by Striking Sabra out of Coy Yankee, owned by Policino Motors Incorporated of Ravenna, Ohio, driven and trained by Marty Willem to a well-judged victory here in 2:03, establishing a lifetime best. Number 1, Terminator P, the unofficial winner of tonight's 4th race. 7, Spirit of a Macho was 3rd, and number 2, Eraser was 4th. Result of race 4 is now official. Windows are open on the 5th. Scratch number 6, Starwell Lame. Scratch 6, Starwell Lame. Once again on July the 20th, BMW Bluegrass went wire to wire at Thunder Ridge out of post 7 in 2:01. Post time in 14 minutes at 8:50. The 1/6 exact at $265.80. Top down, Terminator P was 1st, Eraser 4th, Our Message 5th, Attack 1st, 8th, Cinder Lane Fred 7th, Brett's Comer 2nd, Spirit or Sprit of a Macho was 3rd, Concord Jet 6th. 145, 872, 3 and 6 on the mile was 2:03. Folks, at this time, when she gets ready, we are once again going to direct your attention to the trackside winner circle. Here comes the field for tonight's 5th race. Trophy by Insurance Women of Columbus. 1 Barnabas, owned by Ellen Hanius, driven by Darren Mauser. 2 Hot Hornet, owned by Gene Robertson, Mike Wilder. 3 Come On BJ, owned by John Perrin and Dave Hawk. 4 Blasted, owned and driven by Ron Taubert. Number 5 is Classic Cavalier, owned by Frank Palmer, Dallas Miller in the bike. 6 Starwell Scratched Lame. 7 Pat Surprise, owned by Chad Folk and Jeff Fout. 8 Uncle Will Goddard, owned by Francis Hammond with Keith Haynes. Here comes the 9. It's the Beamer horse, BMW Bluegrass, owned by Michael Ray West. Roy Wilson will drive. 10 Shadwell, owned by Bob Perry. Jody Essig will be in the sulky. Scratch number 6, Starwell Lame. Turn the field here. We have one that's up in the upper turn here, the 1 horse, Barnabas. Will have to be turned by Parade Marshal Kathy McDonald. Field is now in motion. And there they go. They're off and pacing. Hot Hornet takes the lead. Come on, BJ between horses. Here comes Pat Surprise driving up on the far outside. Blasted the late lever to fourth. Next in line, Barnabas fifth. Out of the second tier, Shadwell sixth. Classic Cavalier in seventh. Uncle Will Goddard is eighth. And the Beamers ninth on the outside. 3 deep to the quarter-mile pole. The Hawkman has got the top with Come On BJ. Pat Surprise drives up on the outside, second and challenging. As they move by the opening quarter, a realistic 28-2. Twin Tri-Pacers head on past the stands to the half-mile pole. Driving up on the outside, Pat Surprise forges to the front. Emerging from second, Come On BJ. Followed by the early pace setter, Hot Hornet third. Second bit on the outside, Blasted fourth. Barnabas set sail from the rail in fifth around the clubhouse turn. Shadwell out of the second tier is sixth. Racing seventh, Classic Cavalier sweeping up on the outside. BMW Bluegrass under a full head of steam, and Uncle Will Goddard is also on the move. They're at the half in a good 58-1 side by side and stride for stride, straining out for their long journey down the backstretch. Pat Surprise continues to lead the way. Blasted on the outside, now sticks his nose, his head, his neck in front. Blasted gets the lead and tries to clear. The 9 has jumped off stride. BMW Bluegrass and the Hawkman just got out. He benefited, racing by 3/4. It's now Blasted by 2. Come On BJ drives up on the outside second. Pat Surprise third. Middle of the racetrack, Uncle Will Goddard by 3/4 in 1:28. Around the far turn, Blasted has a commanding lead. Blasted on top by about 4. Come On BJ doing his best in the center, and right now that may not be good enough, but he still has some heart. Digging down deep, it's Blasted who will lead him to the finish line. It's Blasted. Come On BJ. Uncle Will Goddard closing for third. Three, Come On BJ holds on second. 8, Uncle Will Goddard third. 1, Barnabas was fourth. Here comes the unofficial winner of tonight's fifth race, number 4, Blasted, a 5-year-old bay gelding by Direct Scooter out of Tiny Tequila. Owned, ran and trained by Dayton's Ron Taubert, covering them out here in 158-3. Number 4, Blasted, the winner of tonight's fifth race. Result of race 5 now official. And we have our lady friends here from the Insurance Women of Columbus on hand to meet and greet the winner of tonight's fifth race, number 4, Blasted, and Ron Taubert. 4-3 exacta, $61.80, $61.80. $1 twin try, $13.78.60. Windows are now up and on tonight's sixth race. Scratch 6, pay thee. Scratch number 6, pay thee. Post time 15 minutes away at 9:11. Top down in race number 5. Barnabas 4th, Hot Hornet 7th. Come On BJ 2nd, Blasted the winner. Classic Cavalier 6, Star Well, Scratch Pat Surprise 5th. Uncle Will Goddard 3rd. The Beamer was 9th and Shadwell finished 8th. 4-7-2, 1-6 Scratch, 5-3, 9 and 8. And the mile was 158-3. Number 1 is My Dad, owned by Pamela Hanauer. Mike Wilder drives. 2, Cam Driver, driven by Sean Mayhew. 3, He's a Diehard, owned by Melody Ross and John McLean. Jeff Felt, the reinsman. Number 4, Falcon Cozy, owned by Louis Mampieri and Frank Cozy with Brad Hanners aboard. Number 5, Yo Scooter, owned by Robert Imson. In the bike, Jim Daly. 6, Pay Thee has been scratched. 6. 7 is Fritzy Bo, owned by Howard Millington with Dave Hawk. 8, Chip Champ, owned by Ken Briggs. Randy Tharps will be in the sulky. That is the field for tonight's sixth race. Scratch 6, pay the post time in 6 minutes. Field is now in motion. And there they go. They're off and pacing. My Dad takes the lead. Falcon Cozy's leaving tonight, jumping off stride to 3. He's a diehard. They're down the back stretch. Falcon Cozy up on the outside, gets the lead. My Dad second. Wyden driving on the outside. Chip Champ to third. Here comes Cam Driver to fourth. Around the top turn, Yo Scooter is in to fifth. Making their way to the opening quarter-mile pole in 6. Fritzy Bo far back. He's a diehard. As they drive by the opening quarter, Fritzy Cozy. Falcon Cozy is there in 28-2. Off that top turn and racing past the stands, Falcon Cozy on top. As the 6-5 favorite, My Dad on his heels in second. Followed by Chip Champ in third. Past the stands, Cam Driver fourth. Yo Scooter is next, followed by Fritzy Bo. Big gap now to He's a Diehard. Around the clubhouse, turn to the half-mile pole. Falcon Cozy getting a breather here in quarter number 2. Leads this field to the half-mile pole. Falcon Cozy bouncing along a length and a half. My Dad on his heels in second. Chip Champ is third with a rush on the outside. Yo Scooter to fourth. Cam Driver in fifth. Fritzy Bo is next in the trailer as He's a Diehard. They're at the halfway point in a moderate minute and 2/5. They're down the backstretch. Falcon Cozy jiggy jogging leads the way. Big move on the outside, trying to be sustained by Yo Scooter. Toward the rail, My Dad is into third. Chip Champ is fourth. Cam Driver's up on the outside. After that, Fritzy Bo and He's a Diehard as they move by 3/4 in 1:30-2. Top 6 are hub to hub midway on the final turn. Falcon Cozy bouncing right along. Driving up on the outside, Yo Scooter to second. Nearest the rail, My Dad third. Off the turn in the stretch, they're on their way home. Falcon Cozy drives away on top. My Dad, Yo Scooter is up on the outside. Brad Hanners draws the sword. Falcon Cozy, My Dad, and Yo Scooter. Falcon Cozy, coast to coast. Early pick 3, 7:53.20. Winning numbers 1, 4, 4 with 6. Exacta $15 even in the try, $39.60. Here's Falcon Cozy. 3-year-old brown colt by Falcon Almahurst out of Madame Bell. Owned by Lou Mampieri of Gehenna, Frank Kazi of Delaware. Driven tonight by Brad Hanners for trainer Bob Coley. Covering them out here in 1:59.3 to establish a lifetime best for Falcon Cozy, the winner of tonight's 6th race. Post time in 13 minutes at 9:29. 7th race, Judges scratch number 5, Luke's Jiggy. 7th race, scratch 5, Luke's Jiggy. Post time in 13 minutes at 9:29. He's a Diehard was claimed by Marmick of Ohio. Here comes the field for tonight's 7th race. Trophy presented by Ohio Mulch. Number 5, Luke's Jiggy scratched. 1, Laser Rev Rack. Owned by Steve Hodge. Darren Mauser drives. 2, JB's L. Sid, leased by Ron Barker, and the driver is Justin Hall. Number 3, Southern Image, owned by Roy Murphy with Jeff Fout. 4, Ram Spirit, owned by Elaine Bray. David Miller will be aboard. The 5 is scratched. 6 is Kelly Blue, owned by Phil Baldoff. Dave Hawk in the bike. 7, Dirkulator, owned by Charlie Conrad, driven tonight by Roy Wilson. 8, Good Allegris, owned by Henry Strong Jr. and Circle Dollar Partners with Mike Wilder. 9, Go Robbie Go, owned by Inga Nemziski, driven by Leszek Nemchevsky. Number 10 is P.S. Kress, owned by Jim Price. Randy Tharps will be in the sulky. That is the field for the 7th race. Trophy by Ohio Mulch. And there they go. They're off and pacing. Laser Rev Rack takes the lead, and Kelly Blue joins him on the outside. Followed by JB's L. Sid toward the rail, Southern Image. Ram Spirit is up on the outside. Go Robbie Go on the far outside, midway on the turn. Here comes Dirkulator after that, Good Allegris, and from out of the second tier, P.S. Kress. As they roll to the quarter-mile pole. Out on top, it's Kelly Blue by 2. Laser Rev Rack is second. opening up in 28-4. Off that top turn, racing past the stands to the half-mile pole. Bouncing along easy, length and a half advantage, Kelly Blue. Laser Rev Rec ready to put on it. Laser Show from second. JB's El Cid third. Nearest the rail, Ram Spirit fourth. The old-timer Good Allegris is up on the outside as they make their way to the paddock turn. Driving up on the far outside, Southern Image. Toward the rail, Dirkulator. Far outside, Go Robbie Go and PS Crest. Reaching the half-mile pole in 59. They're out of the turn and down the backstretch. 9-5 favorite shows his heels to the field, Kelly Blue. Ranging up on the outside, Good Allegris the second. Laser Rev Rec in third and Southern Image down the backstretch fourth. JB's El Sayed is fifth. Ram Spirit will need Smokey Robinson and the Miracles from here. Between horses, Go Robbie Go, PS Crest up on the far outside and the Dirkulator. Moving by 3/4 and 128-3. Around the far turn, Kelly Blue, Laser Rev Rec second. Good Allegris gives way. Back on the attack, JB's El Cid. They're into the stretch. Kelly Blue brings them home. Kelly Blue, Laser Rev Rec, JB's El Cid. The lineup's going to get here in race number 7. It's Kelly Blue, Laser Rev Rec, and JB's El Cid third. Comes Dave Hawk and Kelly Blue, a 6-year-old bay gelding by Kelly Lobel out of Cha-Cha. Owned in Akron by Phil Baldoff. Trained by Lloyd Hawk. Driven coast to coast by Dave Hawk. Covering the mile in 157, number 6, Kelly Blue, the winner of tonight's 7th race. 6-1 exacted, $19 even. The try, $256.40. Windows are now up and on race 8, third and final division of the Ohio Sire Stakes. No changes in the 8th. Race 9, scratch 7, Small But Incredible Lame. Scratch 7, Small But Incredible Lame. Driver change in race 10 being duly announced for the first time. Number 4, Fritzy Dundee. The driver will be Jim Daly. Jim Daly will drive number 4, Fritzy Dundee, in race number 10. Once again, tonight's 7th race sponsored by Ohio Mulch. Twin trifecta carryover, 1378.65. Here comes the field for tonight's 8th race. Start of the final pick 3. Ohio Sire Stakes, third and final division. $14,880 the purse, and number 1 is Diaz Devil. Owned by Leonard Stemmen, Edward Garber, driven by Bruce Schmidt. 2, He's a Redneck, owned by Danny Jordan with Alan Anderson. 3, Silver Chip, owned by Stephen Curtis, Sharon Kendall, Ray Curtis, and Don Westover, driven by Steve Curtis. 4, HR's Overcomer, owned by Barbie Hughes and Levon Deagle with David Myers aboard. 5 is 90210, owned by Dean Davis, driven by David Miller. 6, Prime Score, owned by Donna Jean Anderson with Brian Weaver. 7 is Peacecomer, owned by driver Ron Newhart and Robert McGrath. Number 8, Hatali, owned by Roger Bartley, Ray and Roger Bartley Jr. with Ron Steck. 9, Rosti, owned by the Miller Brothers Stable. Jay Cross will be in the sulky. That is the field for the 8th, third division of the Ohio Sire Stakes. Another driver change in race 10. Field is in motion. And there they go. They're off and trotting. Off strut on the far outside, the 7, Peacecomer. He's a Redneck. Showing gate speed has grabbed the top. Diaz Double moves into be second. 902 is up on the outside as they trot to the opening quarter-mile pole. Silver Chip and HR's Overcomer toward the rail, Hatali. Driving up on the outside, Prime Score, Rosti, and the far back trailer is Peacecomer. They move to the opening quarter-mile pole. He's a Redneck with a gun rack on the back of his sulky, leads in 30 seconds flat. Trotting past the stands, He's a Redneck, being sent and sent hard. Here's War right now. 90210 up on the outside now gets the lead. 90210 briskly settles into command by 2 lengths. Racing second, He's a Redneck. Around the top turn, Diaz Double moves in to be third. Jumping off stride, that's He's a Redneck. As they move to the half, and 90210 has got the top. Diaz Double picks up the chase in second. Silver Chip is third. HR's Overcomer drives up on the outside. Underway in the back of the pack, Rosti. Hatali saves ground between horses. Prime Score. He's a redneck, and the trailer remains Peacecomer. Little more than 3/8 of a mile to trot. With a rush on the outside, HR's Overcomer comes to get the lead. 90210 is now fought back as the 4 makes a speed break. HR's Overcomer, a lot of action in here as they trot by 3/4. 90210 leads away in 132 3. Moving around the far turn from the outside, Rosti now gets the lead. Rosti easily takes over command. Prime Score, the danger on the far outside. Here comes a tally between horses. Late lever from the extreme outside. Diaz Double racing through the stretch. Rosti has got the top. Prime Score is closing in. A tally between horses. Diaz Double is up on the far outside. Rosti to the wire. Here comes the unofficial winner of the 8th, 9, Rosti, 2-year-old bay gelding by final score of Golden Mystique, owned in Haviland, Ohio, by Miller Brothers Stable, trained by Jeff Miller. Given a clever drive tonight by Jay Cross, coming that mile here in 2:05 and won a lifetime best for number 9, Rosti, the winner. RN Nurse Mary Garrity, representing Scioto Downs, to make the trophy presentation. Windows are now put on race 9, scratch number 7, Small But Incredible. 10th race, number 2, Around Town, driver Ron Steck. 4, Fritzy Dundee, the driver will be Jim Daly. 9-6 exacta, 2:08.80. The try, 27:63.40. Here's the field for race 9, 7 to post, and here's the 1, Payne Road Scooter, owned by Mary Dillon, driven by Jody Essig. Number 2, Bannock, owned by Dean Collins and Diane Elliott. Dean Collins drives. 3 is Holly Hill Limited, owned by David Decker, and the driver is going to be Darren Mauser. Number 4, Special Pal, owned by Cindy Swagler. Dave Hawk aboard. 5, Tallapoosa, owned by Donald Robinson. Mike Wilder in the bike. 6 is Silky Prize, owned by Ewell Binkley and Del S. Miller. 7 is Scratched. Here's the 8, Behold, owned by Chad Folkin, Randy Tharps. 9, Laughter in the Rain, owned by Richard Mabra and Rocky Stidham. 10, Enchanted Mirage, owned by Enchanted Willows Farm. Rosa Miller. David Miller will be in the sulky. 6 minutes till post time. And there they go. They're off and pacing. Bannock is away a step or 2 slow due to the break before the start. Far outside, Behold takes the lead. Laughter in the Rain in the middle of the racetrack, and Holly Hill Limited getting fired up on the rail tonight. Payne Road Scooter to 4th. From out of the second tier, Enchanted Mirage to 5th. Bannock 6th. Racing 7, Special Pal, Tallapoosa. Silky Prize 9th on the outside. They are absolutely flying by the quarter-mile pole. Behold is zinging by there in a quick 27-2. Racing past the stands to the half-mile pole. Behold for Randy Tharps, bouncing along with a 2-length lead. Laughter in the Rain 2nd. Holly Hill Limited 3rd. Next in line comes Payne Road Scooter 4th. Enchanted Mirage is 5th. Bannock comes to the outside. Saving ground, Special Pal, Tallapoosa. And the trailer is about 15 from the front. Silky Prize there at the half. Behold has them there in 57-1. They're out of the turn and down the backstretch. Behold continues to lead. Payne Road Scooter moves up on the outside 2nd. Down the backstretch, Laughter in the Rain 3rd. followed by Holly Hill Limited fourth and Shannon Mirage on the outside fifth. Bannock underway from sixth, seventh up on the outside, Tallapoosa. Silky Prize along the rail, Special Pal. Racing by 3/4, Behold, Payne Road Scooter still on the attack. Moving by 3/4 in a quick 1:26. Moving around the far turn. Behold trying to make every pole when anyone continues to lead the way. Laughter in the rain, ready to pour it on second as Payne Road Scooter gives way. They're at the head of the stretch. Behold on top, trying to last on the front end. It's Behold. Laughter in the rain up on the outside, and Holly Hill Limited. We're down to 2. Behold, Laughter in the rain is getting up on the far outside. $0.40, $100.40. The try, 1683.20, 1683.20. Here's Laughter in the Rain. 6-year-old black gelding by Storm Damage out of JJ's Applesauce by Paul Anka. Owned in London by Richard Mabra, trained and driven by Rocky Stidham, covering the mile here in 1:55 and 1. Number 9, Laughter in the Rain, the winner of tonight's 9th race. Post time 14 minutes away, 10:26. Number 2, Around Town, driver Ron Steck. 4, Fritzy Dundee, driver will be Jim Daly. Post time in 14 minutes. Special Pal 9th, Tallapoosa 4th, Silky Prize was 8th. Smallwood Incredible scratch, Behold 2nd. Superfect and Exactas A parade behind Kathy McDonald. Number 1 is Shady Weather, owned by Ron and Charlie Dillender, driven tonight by Randy Tharps. 2 is Around Town, owned by Bob Perry, and a driver change to Ron Steck. 3, Clearwater Clint, now owned by Ralph Lunsford and Michael Grant, driven by Ralph Lunsford. 4, Fritzy Dundee, owned by William Fritz, and a driver change to Jim Daly. 5, SF Satellite, owned by Sean Barker and Jeff Fout. 6, Doran's Dandy, owned by Kerry Costa and Mitchell Jaffe with Mike Welder. 7 is This Only I Could, owned by Sam Coben with Jody Essig. Number 8 is Sittin' Bull, owned by Alan Swain and Dave Hawk. 9, James Owen Tudor, leased by Robert Zink with David Miller. And number 10 is Wholesale Merchant, leased by Jim Sparks. Darren Mauser will be in the sulky. Field for the 10th, Ron Steck aboard the 2, Jim Daly to drive 4, Fritzy Dundee. Is now in motion. And there they go. They're off and pacing. James Owen Tudor on the far outside. Fritzy Dundee, middle of the racetrack, If Only I Could. Here comes Sittin' Bull on the outside to 4th. Up the rail, Shady Weather moves in to be 5th. Out of the second tier, Wholesale Merchant 6th. Around Town 7th. Clearwater Clint is 8th. SF Satellite is 9th. Doran's Dandy is 10th. Seating arrangements are complete. If Only I Could has grabbed the lead. Shady Weather's coming with a rush on the outside. Rushing by the quarter in a good 28 2/5. Past the stand, Shady Weather up on the outside now gets the lead. Shady Weather on top by a length. Back into the 2-hole comes If Only I Could, followed by Fritzy Dundee, Sittin' Bull. After that, James Owen Tudor. Riding up on the outside, Wholesale Merchant, tipping and rolling Around Town. Clearwater Clint, gap of 2, SF Satellite and Doran's Dandy. They're at the half in a crisp 57 and 1. They're down the backstretch. Shady Weather continues to lead the way. Here comes Wholesale Merchant barreling up on the outside second. If Only I Could, third in the pocket, followed by Fritzy Dundee. After that, Sittin' Bull, saving ground, James Owen Tudor. Clearwater Clint is 7th on the outside. Around Town is 8th. The Satellite is 9th. Doran's Dandy can't go on. They're flying by 3/4. 127 and 1. 6-5 favorite tries to bring him on home. It's Randy Tharp leading the way with the favorite Shady Weather. If Only I Could, second. Followed by Fritzy Dundee, third. James Owen Tudor, fourth. The others better pick it up. Racing through the stretch. Shady Weather continues to lead the way. If Only I Could, James Owen Tudor is closing a ton. Shady Weather. If Only I Could, James Owen Tudor, and Fritzy Dundee fourth. Official winner of the 10th, One Shady Weather. 6-year-old based on a Falcon Elmhurst out of Weather. Owned by Ron and Charlie Dillender of Louisville. Trained by Charlie Dillender. Given a well-judged drive tonight by Randy Tharps to cover the mile here in 1:57. Number 1, Shady Weather, the winner of tonight's 10th and final race. Top down in tonight's 10th and final race.